Hello, and welcome to Non Sequitur News. Today is a Time Machine episode for June 27th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 179. I am Mayor Watt, and the sentient AI from the future is not available. But that's okay. We're going to talk about 10 articles, starting with 30 feet under the 50-yard line. Chicago train allergic to tracks. Racing Shrubbery, a $500 banknote for auction. The Steam summer sale. Arizona iced tea founder explains price. Do multivitamins actually help? Millions of toys recalled. Vitamix says you Mightafix their blender. And finally, Google Translate to support 110 new languages. Pretty amazing. And thankfully it's happening. So let's get into today's articles. Everything is powered by ohmTown.com. Go over and become a citizen. Hello, everybody. I am Mayor Watt, and welcome to ohmTown. Today's show, Non Sequitur News, is the daily show. We do this every day at 8 p.m. typically, but today I'm in the time machine because mayoral duties kept me from doing the show yesterday. But that's okay. We have all of the information. You can go over and check all of this out as well. If you are in chat, you can type in !NSN and it'll give you all of the links to the articles that we're going to be talking about. And if you want the podcasts, you can just type in !pod. There's 7 shows that we actually put together each week. 6 of them are on the weekends, and then Non Sequitur News is the daily. So Reality Hacker, Wanted, Warcrafters, The Continuity Report, Technology Today, 4-Wheel Tech. Those are the weekend shows, and then Non Sequitur News is every day, including the weekends. And if you want to get the show notes, you can just type in show notes, and that'll give you the commands that you can issue to ohmTown, and that will give you all of the links through ohmTown over to our sources. So let's get into today's articles. It'll be a quick show, I think. So hopefully, if you've taken some time out and want to get some news, here you have it. First article's over in Non Sequitur News. Over at ohmTown.com, there are 6 main categories, and inside those 6 categories are 47 channels. I'm aiming for 50, but I keep deactivating 3. Anyway, each one of these is planned to be a show, like Warcrafters is a show, Reality Hacker is a show, Wanted is a show, etc. If you're interested in hosting or co-hosting, get in touch with me. Send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com. So a giant sinkhole swallows the center of a soccer field built on top of a limestone mine. I actually watched this happen. And then we found it in ohmTown because, I mean, it was newsworthy. It's basically a 50-foot wide hole that opened up and dropped 30 feet deep into a limestone mine shaft. Luckily, they had already removed the people from the mine shaft, or the mine, I should say, because of the collapse was apparently known that it was going to happen, but let's find out more about it. It's over at the Associated Press, but they posted it over at abcnews.go.com. And there's a video of it. I'll hit play. It's muted. Oh my goodness, no. Of course, they don't. I'm not interested in that part. I want... Goodness. Hold on a second. There's an ad. No. All right. Well, anyway, they're not going to show it. Well, the hole is estimated to be at least 100 feet wide and opens 50 feet deep. The previous report that I had seen was that it was 50 feet wide and 30 feet deep, but apparently the true numbers are out now. No one was on the field at the time. That's because it was a holiday, as far as I understand it. But essentially in Alton, Illinois, a giant sinkhole has swallowed the center of a soccer complex that was built over an operating limestone mine in southern Illinois, taking down a large light pole. And it was actually pretty spectacular. Like, right in the middle of this field was a light pole. I didn't know that that actually was done, but I guess it's because it was two separate fields, and this was a light pole right in the middle of it. And it just seems to drop out of sight, like just plops down into the center of this hole. And it's pretty amazing. The only time I've ever seen anything like that was when somebody else, a drilling rig, punched a hole in a limestone mine, and all of the water from the lake drained into the mine. And that one was actually like noteworthy. There's videos of it on YouTube. Now there's videos of this too, I suppose. The park and roads around it are now closed indefinitely. I don't know how they're going to fill this up other than backfill that entire mine. The impacted area has been secured and will remain off limits for the foreseeable future while inspectors and experts examine the mine and conduct repairs. We'll work with the city to remediate this issue as quickly and safely as possible to ensure minimal impact on the community. Yeah, it's going to be pretty expensive. Backfilling 100 feet in diameter and 50 feet deep worth of soil, and then making sure that it doesn't subside later on. Because if there's any flowing water, something that deep has to be compacted in layers. Otherwise, as things settle, and the earth is always vibrating a little bit, so it's going to settle and you're going to get that subsidence anyway. So they're going to have to keep on filling it. Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff here. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. Freight train derails in Chicago suburb, triggering evacuations over suspected leak. Canadian National Railway said the derailment in Madison, Illinois. What's going on with Illinois? Involved about 10 cars carrying various substances, quote unquote. The article is by Minivan Burke over at NBC News, but it's published at cnbc.com. The train derailed at 217th Street and Main in Madison, according to NBC Chicago. A mandatory evacuation was underway. This is yesterday amid a suspected leak from the derailed cars, and you just never know until somebody goes out and verifies. One car containing residue liquefied petroleum gas leaked a limited amount, which is really bad. So liquefied petroleum gas is can explode. It says there is no danger to public safety. A precautionary evacuation was ordered, but has since been lifted except for properties immediately adjacent to the site. So Madison is a village in Cook County, Illinois, about 30 miles south of downtown Chicago. 2 articles right now about something going on in Illinois. I don't know where Alton is in relation to the other one. Yeah, apparently. Oh, and about that sinkhole, it says New Frontiers Materials Bluff City said the sinkhole resulted from surface subsidence at its underground mine in city, located about 25 miles north of St. Louis along the Mississippi. So back to our freight train. There isn't really much else here because they haven't updated it with anything from the future since I'm in my time machine. All right, the next article is over in the Non Sequitur News channel. A small shrub used to make IndyCar racing tires could help save rainforests and make deserts greener. Apparently, it's called Gayule, Guayule. Benjamin Zhang over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. There's no deck statement or anything, but it says Bridgestone is growing desert shrubs called Gayule in Arizona as an alternative source of rubber. Gayule could be a sustainable domestic source of rubber, helping reduce deforestation. This article is part of a Future of Supply Chain Management series that focuses on manufacturing and distribution strategies. So I don't know how much information is going to... Waiuli. So not Gayule. Waiuli. I didn't know. So it says if you've watched IndyCar racing over the past couple of years, you may have seen some of the cars using green tires with a difficult to pronounce name. Waiuli is a small desert shrub native to southwestern U.S. and Mexico that Bridgestone uses to make the rubber in the sidewalls of its green Firestone branded racing tires. Nikki. Really? There's another one. Am I supposed to pronounce that? Nick Eule? Euli? Anyway, Elau, I think. Maybe it's Nick Elau. The executive director for Waiuli and end-of-life tire recycling at Bridgestone said the company's ambitions for Waiuli go beyond the track. So eliminating the need for foreign rubber, natural rubber is quite amazing. While it has the ability to basically break down as you're using it, its flexibility and its ability to manage heat is the reason why it's used on airplane tires and for racing, apparently. But it says for more than 330 million car and commercial truck tires were sold in the U.S. in 2023. The trade group estimates natural rubber accounts for about 1/5 of materials in a passenger tire and 1/3 of materials in a commercial truck tire. The rest is synthetic rubber, steel, fillers such as silica and carbon black. Microplastics are actually this kind of particle rubber from tires. The materials from tires are a predominant amount of these microplastics that people are finding, researchers are finding in the tissues of humans and animals and our food supply. And so if they can find something that isn't a microplastic and rubber falls in that, maybe it can mitigate some of the harm that is being perceived from all of these tires basically breaking off little pieces of the material. And you have to wonder where it all ends up, right? Well, it ends up on the side of roads, eventually washed into oceans, streams, into the food supply. Animals get eaten, then it ends up in humans. And we breathe it in all the time while we're driving around. So the actual harvest method is a tree-by-tree manual process where workers use a special tool to cut grooves into tree bark. This is the natural rubber trees. But Waiuli apparently is just this little shrub. The trees are the backbone of the natural rubber supply chain, are susceptible to disease, while the trees are native to the Amazon. Leaf blight helped kill off large-scale rubber production in the region nearly a century ago. So mass cultivation of Waiuli may help support biodiversity and protect topsoil from the ravages of a harsh desert climate. And while many plants can't survive in the dry heat of the Sonoran Desert, where Bridgestone's Eloy farm is located, it's Waiuli natural environment, so it can actually manage this temperature. It depends on how much water it needs. So they say a farmer in Arizona told Popular Science in 2022 that corn required nearly twice as much water during a 4-month growing season as Waiuli did in a year, which is totally understandable. The size of a corn seed. It is naturally a storage of moisture along with these large leaves and whatnot. And most of it's a giant stalk. All of this is holding water, so I'm not surprised. It's not designed for this. But little shrubs, the shrubs also protect the topsoil. And then they just chop them up. I wonder where they get the seeds to it looks like they just tear it all out, harvesting it. So I wonder where they get the seeds from. Maybe another line of the crop. So they don't really go into how it is manufactured, but that'll be something else. Maybe I'll look into it. We have shown that we can do it. We can produce a Waiuli rubber that's perfectly useful for the tires on your minivan. All right, so let's do it. Yeah, the US is pretty self-sufficient, so I'm not surprised that we're coming up with something else that we can focus on. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the Marble Channel. Ultra rare $500 banknote from the 1930s to be auctioned off. They have this little story at a glance that is what we aggregate, and it's provided by the Hill. So a rare $500 banknote is set to be auctioned off on Wednesday. The U.S. no longer issues bills in larger denominations, which would sometimes be used for land and property purchases, but some may still be in circulation. The $500 note was printed in the 1930s. Based on inflation, it would be worth more than $11,000 today. That's just... Anyway. So the 90-year-old note is set to go up for auction on Wednesday. Caitlin Bryce-Gorn is the author of this over at thehill.com in a section called Changing America. So according to Hanson's Auctioneers, the banknote was printed nearly 90 years ago, or printed 90 years ago, and is part of a major collection of rare USA notes uncovered in Wales. William Hayward, a coin/banknote valuer at Hanson's, said the banknote is rare for a number of reasons. For starters, Hayward said just having a $500 note in your pocket in 1934 would have been extremely unusual. It wouldn't have been in somebody's pocket, man. It's also unusual because it hasn't been redeemed. They are still legal tender. $500 is still $500 at the end of the day. The United States no longer issues bills in larger denominations such as 500,000, 5,000, 10,000, but some still may be in circulation. The 500 was officially discontinued by the Congress in 1969, and they haven't printed anything since 1945. All right. Yeah. That's it. Based on inflation. That's such a weird explanation of this. That $500 bill is worth $500. If you invested the $500 somewhere and followed just inflationary trends, you'd end up with $11,620 in 90 years. So, yeah, all right. Anyway, I don't like that line. Doesn't make any sense. $500 is worth $500, except to a collector, except to somebody's perceived value of what this thing is. Anyway, pretty cool. I don't know if they're gonna talk about it, but I'm sure we'll aggregate it. If whatever the valuation is, we'll end up talking about it here in ohmTown. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in, because I only have a certain amount of time before the time machine overheats. This next article is over in Technology Today. The Steam Summer Sale has arrived, and here's a list of all Steam sales. Steam sales can help you save money and grow your ever-expanding backlog. There's, by the way, Valve, Steam, has sold $19 billion worth of games that people haven't even played. Many of that is me. Steam sales can save you a lot of money and grow your ever-expanding backlog, but here's what and when they are, with tips for maximizing your savings. The article is over at cnet.com. Mo Long is the author of this. So here's what and when they are. What a weird DAG statement. Anyway, I won't go through the whole list. But it says the Steam Summer Sale goes from June 27th to July 11th. The Steam Autumn Sale goes from November 27th to December 4th. The Steam Winter Sale goes from December 19th to January 2nd. And the Steam Spring Sale goes from March 14th to the 21st. So they say, how often are Steam sales? Pretty often. I mean, there's something always going. And then it says, here's how I save money with Steam sales, and you can too. That's what I do right there. I have a wish list of 410 items on it. It allows you to know when something releases. It notifies you when there is a sale on it, or anything out of the ordinary happens with the product. Then use SteamDB to find the largest discounts if you are oh so motivated. Let's see, SteamDB, which is available at steamdb.info, basically taps into Steam and lists all of the articles, like all of the products, and their percentage off what the current price is, the rating, the release date, when the sale might end, and when it started. So you can go over and check out everything. They have a huge list here. Set a budget, especially with prices slashed by 75% or more. You might get a whole bunch of stuff and buy more because you have the percentage. You're thinking about the percentage, but not the overall. But there's a lot of stuff coming. So complete list of Steam sale dates is on this list. Past stream sales from 2024. Yeah, pretty amazing. Always engaged. All right, let's keep going though. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Arizona iced tea founder explains why he's bucked the inflation trend and never raised its iconic 99-cent price in 32 years. Yeah, Dominic Don Voltaggio, chairman of Beverage Marketing USA, parent company of Arizona Iced Tea, has a picture on the other side of this over at Business Insider, but we'll get there here in a second. The iconic 23-ounce cans of Arizona iced tea still sell for 99 cents after 32 years. Arizona founder Don Voltaggio told Today, I think Business Today or Insider Today, I think it's called, or maybe Today. We'll see on the other side. It might be the show today. That he doesn't want to raise prices on consumers. The strategy is unique as industry prices rise, and some brands use shrinkflation to profit even more. So shrinkflation, if you don't know what it is the price can remain the same, but then instead of a 23-ounce can, they make it an 18-ounce can. Or they even raise the price to $1.29 and then lower the price to 20 ounces. Either way, they make more and charge more. So they make more money and they sell less of the product. It's just another way of saying what I said. So anyway, Kelsey Vlamis over at Business Insider put this article together. And I don't know. I think that this is admirable. If they're making money hand over fist, why be greedy about it? It says we're successful, we're debt free, we own everything. Why have people who are having a hard time paying their rent have to pay more for our drink? Maybe it's a little my way to give back. So here's to you, one of the people fighting the good fight. I, for one, am in this camp, and unfortunately, expenses are at the source level. So Voltaggio is basically taking it on the chin by having a smaller end margin. The end result for their product is more expensive. I can guarantee you that he looks like somebody, Frasier. He looks like Frasier. So the source materials that they use to make their tea has gone up in price, unless they're the maker of the raw materials as well, which is extremely rare. Like, from farm to plate kind of a thing. If they own everything and they grow everything, they do everything, which I guarantee you they don't. Their prices have increased at the source, but then they don't raise the price, which means their margin has gotten smaller. The cost of living to all of their employees has gone up. So either they pay more or the people leave, or everybody bears the burden as well, and they make less or they make the same amount, but the margin is going to be so small that the company, as a company, overall suffers. And so there's this whole fiduciary responsibility where the perception of greed is good comes into play. And that has a lot to do with Reaganomics and this idea that you have to squeeze like the Harkonnens on Dune, squeeze until everybody is just completely dry, steal their soul if you have to. And some people issue that, but I'm glad that Don here is doing exactly that. Other people think that's wrong in business. particularly when you have a lot of stockholders sitting there voting on who you are as a CEO, remaining as CEO. You can actually own the company, have enough stockholders fire against you, then your board votes you out, and you become, even if you're the owner, you don't have to remain on the board. That's not how it works. You don't necessarily remain CEO. So let's keep going though. Non sequitur news is known for basically hopping from one topic to another. So a major study reveals if multivitamins actually help you live longer rather than living longer. Otherwise healthy people who took daily vitamins were slightly more likely, 4%, to die during the study period. Let me repeat that. Rather than living longer, otherwise healthy people who took daily multivitamins were slightly more likely to die during the study period, whopping 4%. But it's supposed to make you healthier. So the study analyzed the data from nearly 400,000 healthy adults over 20 years. Leah Sarnoff over at abcnews.go.com put the article together. And it says here, a study from the National Institute of Health published Wednesday found that multivitamins won't help extend your life, with researchers reporting multivitamin use to improve longevity is not supported. So to improve longevity, to have you live longer, doesn't necessarily mean anything. Your quality of life might be much improved because you're taking a multivitamin. The study analyzed data from nearly 400,000 adults over 20 years, had a median age of 61.5, and were generally healthy with no history of chronic diseases, according to the study published by the JAMA Network Open. The study found no evidence that daily multivitamin consumption reduced the risk of health from conditions such as heart disease or cancer. Yeah. It's an interesting thing that we're talking about here. So I'm trying to kind of cogitate. So live while I'm streaming to both Twitch and YouTube. Researchers reported nearly 165,000 deaths occurring during the follow-up period of the study out of the initial group of 390,000 participants. The study, however, did not analyze data from people with pre-existing vitamin deficiencies. And it says what this study shows is that generally multivitamins aren't going to help you live longer. Even though the cost of many multivitamins isn't high, this is still an expense that many people can be spared from. So this is really interesting because this isn't the first time that I've seen this. The article states, and this is something that I've read in other places, research studies. This isn't the first research study that basically has suggested that multivitamins don't help you. They don't do anything for you. Multivitamins don't really do anything for you. It says we can all likely benefit from adding more vegetables and whole grains or legumes into our diet, reducing red meat intake, decreasing our sedentary time, and reducing alcohol intake. Those are the knowns that help us. But I'm really curious if you do something a little bit more holistic and not a multivitamin, which doesn't necessarily provide you everything that you actually need. There's different medications. There are different supplements out there. And some people swear by them. There's one guy out there that is this life extension kind of a thing where he takes something like 50 pills a day. Yeah, I'm really curious. I think more study needs to be done because 400,000 people, while it's a lot and it's over 20 years, I'm curious about more of the information that might have been aggregated in this. Like, what are the vitamins? What were the values of the vitamins? What was the baseline blood test, the CBC, for each one of these 400,000 people? What all was involved? So I'm going to have to end up looking at this because I am actually very curious about this. And it's not about extending life. You're going to have a lifespan based on your genetics. And unless you go through some gene therapy, nothing's going to modify that. And we really don't know anything about mortality. We treat the symptoms, not the cause, until we find out the cause, and then we treat the cause, but it's very haphazard, I'd say. But this is a really neat article, and now I want to know more. So they published this on Wednesday at the JamaNetwork.com. So I'll end up having to read that, and I'll get back to y'all. Let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News as well. Millions of toy sets recalled as nationwide warning issued. The Miniverse toy miniature model include resin containing potentially dangerous chemical compounds. The video here at Newsweek.com has absolutely jack shit to do with this article. But okay, Isla Slisco is the author. But the at least drinking water recall sends 5-year-old to the hospital is the title of the video, if you're curious as to why I said that. Anyway, in a recall notice shared to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, or CPSC, website on Wednesday, California-based MGA Entertainment warns owners of Miniverse Make It Mini sets to immediately stop using the products due to a high amount of a chemical compound acrylates found in resins included in the kits. The company said that it had received 26 reports of incidents from the product from children and adults, including reports of skin burns and irritation and respiratory irritation, with one report that a consumer's asthma was triggered. I don't know if this is, I don't know if this is not the same thing. Weird. I don't know why they have this, but okay. Sorry, for those listening via the podcast, there's a picture of a young child pictured playing with wooden toys representing food and a knife in the undated file photo. And then they say in the same caption, sets of Miniverse toy miniature model kits, which are different, but also largely represent food, ... So weird. Anyway, the recalled sets, which were manufactured in China, were sold nationally online and in stores from October 2022 to June 2024, costing between $7 and $52, and they were sold in major retailers, including but not limited to Amazon, Walmart, and Target. Yeah, so Make It Mini appliances, Make It Mini food, Make It Mini lifestyle. While most of the recalled products have a food-related theme, those with themes like movie theater, bird feeders, and Halloween were also recalled. So this is pretty bad. MGA Entertainment has a long-standing MGA Entertainment has a long-standing commitment to delivering high-quality, safe products. In this particular instance, less than 0.00013% of the 21 million units sold in the US since MGA Miniverse Make It Mini lines launched about 18 months ago have led to reported incidents. Yeah, you wouldn't be saying this shit if it was your kid, so I hate that. I hate this marginalization crap. That bothers me. Just accept it. You know, somebody screwed up. The manufacturing process was trying to get rid of something that they probably shouldn't have been getting rid of, or whatever the hell it is. So then they take it on the chin. Nonetheless, MGA is taking full or all necessary precautions to rectify the situation. And damn right you should. Customers were urged to return the products as soon as possible. So there you go, folks. There's a recall form as well that you can find via the links in our show notes. It's under the the title that I gave it, Millions of Toys Recalled. Yeah, only from 10% to 15% of the sets still had liquid resin included due to the products having been on the market for an extended period of time. Now, only this, only that. Shut up. You don't try to marginalize it. You know, just say you're addressing it and get them off of the shelves, get it remedied, and find a better solution than having the opportunity for liquid resin. I mean, if you're making something using liquid resin and it's for kids, you're asking for trouble. And that actually brings me a little bit closer to the video that's on here. It says drinking water recall sends 5-year-old to the hospital. Yeah. If there is some liquid resin in this thing and there's a little kid, without an adult present, they're going to do something goofy. Anyway, the next article is over in Technology Today. Vitamix issues recall asking consumers to fix the blenders themselves. The recall follows 27 reported lacerations caused by faulty blade bases and blending containers. We talked about this previously, but this has a slight change to it from what I had read previously. The recall follows 27 reported lacerations. David Watsky over at cnet.com put the article together. And I was actually looking to get a Vitamix blender only because they're supposed to be quieter and much more reliable and powerful. And I wanted to be able to powder something. Basically, I'm trying to make kind of like an energy drink. And one of the materials, in all of the materials, you want it as fine as possible because it minimizes it dropping out of suspension. But everything drops out of suspension in time, I suppose, except for a liquid. Anyway, to Inside Baseball. So last week, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission released a notice recalling Vitamix Ascent and Venturist series blending containers and blade bases, noting that the containers can separate from the blade base, exposing the blades, posing a laceration hazard to consumers. It's been isolated to 8 to 20 ounce containers. So basically the bottom of the container would separate. But apparently now Vitamix is asking consumers to repair the blender parts. As of the writing, no refunds or replacements will be issued for defective parts. Rather, those in possession of Ascent and Ventura's blenders should immediately stop using the recalled 8 and 20 ounce blending containers and blade bases and contact Vitamix for a repair kit consisting of a protective plastic shroud to attach over the blade base and additional instruction labels. So I guess they're just adding something to it, but I haven't seen what it is yet. I had heard that that's what was coming, so I wanted to follow up because I think our last discussion was they had mentioned that the blade would separate, the bottom of the container would separate. And I thought that I think it's weird to rely on the consumer to fix this. I think it's kind of batshit crazy, as a matter of fact. The liability for this is just fantastical. Because if they screw up, do you really think the onus is on the consumer? No, you created a faulty freaking product. The liability is going to hit you doubly because you willfully marginalized what the result should have been, which was you recalling these, giving people the correct part as built, and then taking either the ones that are defective and destroying them, recycling them, or whatever you want to do with them. I don't care. You really should recycle them, but anyway, the clear containers and black blade bases are included with certain Vitamix Venturist and Ascent series blenders. And this just made me realize I have to make a phone call after the show. So, all right, folks. Well, if you have a Vitamix, then you better go and look in your cabinet to see if it's one of these. And finally, the last article for today is over in the Non Sequitur News channel. Google Translate is getting support for more than 110 new languages. That's going to make, let's see, before now Google translated 133 languages. So with this expansion, the company is basically jumping from 133 to 243 languages total. Google's Palm 2 AI language model helped translate, learn these new languages. It was especially good at learning ones that were related to another one, such languages close to Hindi, like Awadi and Marwari, and French Creoles, like the Seychellois Creole, and Mauritian Creole. So the article is by Jay Peters over at TheVerge.com. Go over and check it out. The deck statement says that's nearly double what supported it before, which is kind of like the no shit news. There's a little bit more over at this article, but I think it's really amazing. I'm going to try and learn Chinese and Japanese. And so being able to use Google to translate stuff, hopefully, because I have other resources around me to facilitate this, hopefully I'll be able to pick it up by immersing myself a little bit more. But we shall see. It may never really manifest. I mean, I once learned, I once took Japanese classes, and I know a few words, but I walked away joking watashi because that's what the professor always did. They always referred to themselves as watashi, watashi. The lessons we learn. You know, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Anyway, that's it for today. They talk more about other newly supported languages and translate and include Cantonese. But you can go and read the rest over at TheVerge.com. And I hope you enjoyed the show. That's it for the Time Machine episode of Non Sequitur News. I try not to miss a lot of days, but unfortunately yesterday, different priorities. I couldn't do the show on time, but I missed it. So thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow, which is actually later. Well, let's just say it's June 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern. How about that? Thanks for coming. See you tomorrow. Today. Yesterday. Bye-bye.